Hi, Ravi.
Hi, Talvinder. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking our time today.
It's my pleasure.
So, Ravi, you have been very active at talking about product management, helping people out, demystifying the whole product management space, and your story itself. I mean, today I'm not going to talk about TeamViewer. I'm not going to talk about your company or the different products that you have built.
hmm
Uh, I'm here to actually talk about something way more personal.
hmm
I want to understand, and I'm sure a lot of listeners, a lot of watchers want to know how exactly a person from Bhubaneswar,
hmm
from Utkal University,
hmm
landed up in Germany building products for TeamViewer, right? And I think that's the journey that we would like to take with you today. Before you start, for the watchers who don't know Ravi, so Ravi is a product manager now, and he has gone through the whole entire journey over 15 years almost, um, right? Over 15 years working with a myriad of companies in India, then in Singapore, and then finally in Germany as a technical writer initially, and finally now as a senior product manager at TeamViewer in Germany. Um,
Product manager, so to say. Yeah. I'm not
okay,
yet senior.
sure.
Yes.
Product manager at
I hope
TeamViewer.
this video does not land up at my company so that they ask me to correct the actual designation. So it's product manager. Yeah.
Product manager. Okay. So Ravi, why don't we start right from the beginning? Um, Especially talking about a startup that you did, right?
Mhm.
Which was Mom's Rasoi.
Mhm.
I think it was, I believe it was way ahead of its time because now food tech is booming in India, and you were, I think, at least 10 years ahead,
Yeah.
right? Almost 10 years ahead. So, what role did Mom's Rasoi or your small the startup experience play in your product career?
Yeah. So that was quite a fascinating journey. So give you some context there, I've always worked in larger organizations and I landed up in larger organizations quite easily because technical writing at that time was again rare in India.
Hmm.
It was again a lucky happenstance for me to land up as a technical writer because I was creative writing was my hobby and technology was my education. So this was one field which married the best of two, and it was also lucrative. All right.
Wow.
So I wanted to escape from technical writing to get into a tech job, but I started getting good money and I started getting good companies as well. All right, because it was rare talent, and I would always uh, the larger companies would always spot me and offer me. So I work with UGS, which is now Siemens, and then Sun Microsystems, and then Computer Associates now, which is called CA to be precise. So all big companies, and then however, I was not very happy with what I was doing because I was still doing a support job because technical documentation is still an ancillary service to your product. I did not see adding a lot of value, and therefore I got these jobs very easily, and therefore I took them for granted. And then I said, okay, so this bug for doing and exiting the corporate job and doing something of my own was always there. And that's when my sister and I planned to
Hmm.
do something. And so she went to IIM Bangalore to do a startup course there, and we both applied for a business plan contest, and then she won the first prize. So that gave us a big boost of confidence that okay, our idea is did win the award, so let's
Right.
bring it into practice. And that's when Moms Society came up. And I must be very candid and tell you that that was not our original idea. So there was
Mhm.
something called Mom's Kitchen, which was very popular in Pune during that time, and they were not expanding to be a leader in the country. So we said, why not do the same on the eastern part of India, Orissa? And Orissa,
Right.
those of you who do not know, had many universities and colleges, and many students all over India would come there. So we saw a big potential, a need for offering them good homemade food, which was missing at that time. And I had studied in Orissa, and I know the problem and the value proposition that we could, the need that we could fulfill.
Right.
So my idea was to actually start a chain, and we had bigger plans. And at that time, businesses were not lean, so you used to make those 5 years business plan. Now people would laugh off, but we actually had a 5 year business plan, and that was our vision and that was our drive, because my parents and my neighbors were not very happy with what we were doing, and they would often, my parents would often have to go through the ignominy of कि बच्चों से पढ़ाई नहीं हुआ ना, इसलिए रेस्टोरेंट खोलना पड़ रहा है इन लोगों को. So, but we had a bigger vision, so it was difficult to convince. But cutting short, the story is, so I ran these operations for 1.5 years. However, because it was a very capital intensive,
Right.
I was doing it for the first time, and I was not fully invested. My sister was fully invested. I did not want to leave my job, so it was difficult to manage, and we ran into, so it was a lot of upfront investment. We invested in a lot of two-wheelers, and
Right.
then a shop to make to have a presence,
Right.
a brick and mortar shop. So we did a few things right. We did great marketing, so our presence and the quality of food was really great. So people would come from far off places, and so we had a great reputation in a small market like Bhubaneswar. But we were burning a lot, so I was not able to maintain the cash flow, and not very effective. And we ran into a lot of other operational issues, like um, we did not have a place where we could wash all our utensils. So someday, if there is no buy who would come to wash it, we had to wash it ourselves. So these
Right.
were small issues, and then cash was burning a lot. And since I was not there fully invested, it was difficult to manage. And there was pressure from family and others, because they did not see it going anywhere. So we had to shut that off. But after that, I got married, and then I said, okay, I need to um, uh,
Yeah.
need to set things in order and need to concentrate back on my career. And that's when I got an offer as a technical writer in Autodesk, actually. So
Okay.
Autodesk, they are world leaders in design software. Those of you who know AutoCAD, it's it's the leader in CAD software. So I joined there. So your question was, how did the experience in Mom's Rossi then
Yeah.
help me build my product career? So again, as I said, the seed was sown already. So I tasted blood, so to say. Albeit it did not succeed, but then that bug was always there. When I joined Autodesk, they were starting to get frustrated. Even though I was earning in Sing dollars, I was still a technical writer. So at that time, I said, all right, so what is, and I was very, very motivated. I had a lot of inner zeal and motivation, and there was this energy that did not find a channel. Okay, so it was being dissipated in different ways. I started doing Ignite. So there is something called, so I started doing a lot of things, and I wanted to bring all that energy into one thing.
Okay.
That was when I was trying to make my next career transition. All right. And I said, okay, what should I do next? So I started trying out and evaluating different roles that I could try. So
Okay.
sales was one.
Mhm.
So I wanted to get into a role that would, of course, push my career trajectory, help me make more money. Um, and at that time, I read this book called How to Be a CEO. All right, Jeffrey Fox, if I remember the author's name, and he recommended a few things on always try to pick up jobs which are commercial jobs. Okay, so like product management, sales, marketing, these jobs. Okay, so the front end customer facing roles always make the highest money, and that's where you accelerate your career growth.
Very
So at that time, I said, okay, so from technical writing, what is the best thing I could do? So project management is something that I was toying with an idea. However, I found it very boring. Then sales, yeah, so I'm not good at it. Okay, I do not have those acumen and the discipline of project management. And then I said, okay, sales is something that that means a lot of money. Maybe I have a lot. I'm resourceful by my nature. Maybe I can influence people. Maybe I can make it big in sales.
right.
I tried that. I talked to sales heads in my company, but it was very difficult. And again, I thought, no, this is going to be boring. So as luck would have it, we had an internal conference in San Francisco office. So my paper got selected. So I was there to present a talk within the company. At that time, I met my product manager there, who was managing our team remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So my product manager, I, and my teammates, we all made a few customer visits there. Okay,
Interesting.
we made a few customer visits. We brought our insights, we collated our insights, and we presented it to the management. And just as with anything in life, your first impressions are the ones that last longer, right? So my first impressions of my product manager was amazing. I found him to be very, very passionate about what he was doing. He was great at it, great communication skills, and everything about him. I could call his name out. I mean, his name is Micah Dickerson. In fact, I interviewed him on my podcast as well later.
Mm-hmm.
But I admired him a lot, and he still remains my first influence who rubbed off that energy in me to make that move into product management. Not directly, though. He did not tell me you should be a product manager. But then just being in the company of him, I thought, this looks interesting. And the entire experience of meeting customers and doing what he did,
Right.
since I was thinking about all the different roles I should move into. So on the flight back to Singapore is when I decided this is what I'm going to do for the next part of my career. I landed in Singapore. The next thing that I did was I started doing a lot of conversational interviews. So this would be very, very useful to all the listeners who are not yet product managers on how to make that transition, because I had already spent 8 years in the industry, and I had hit that ceiling. I was not able to imagine the next move. And many people would give it up because 8 to 9 years or 10 years looks very, very daunting to make any career move at that time. It
Right.
seems like very late. But I did not let any of that bother me. So as I said, I got down in Singapore. Next day when I went to office, I started doing informational interviews with all the product managers in my company. And
Yes.
Autodesk being like 8,000 odd people, we had at least 30 to 40 product managers in the company. So I started talking to them, saying that, telling my players that this is what I want to become. What is your opinion? What should I be doing to make that move?
That's a
And they were all,
fantastic. I'll just pause you there because I think that's a fantastic point that you brought in, right? You know that the hunger to learn,
right.
right? The hunger to learn and the whole curiosity that yeah, I want to do this, and where do I start? And then this is a question which almost which a number of people ask me as well. I want to become a product manager. Where do I start? So everybody, please take your paper and pen and start writing.
Yeah.
Please.
So first is make up your mind that this is the right thing to do,
Right.
and don't just blindly come up with an idea one day that you want to be a product manager. It has to suit. You have to be your personality should suit it. Okay, because it's a multi-dimensional role. It's like a CEO. You have to be very, very curious about everything around a product, around the business of building product, not just technology, because a product by itself is not a product. The business model is the product, right? So you have to be very, very curious. So by then I was I was an avid reader, and I used to read a lot. So I had built my interest in a multi-dimension. I had run a failed startup. So I was already in that mindset. And of all the roles, as I said, project management, sales, and marketing, product management fit my personality.
Right.
So please do a self audit of what you are as a person. Only then take that plunge would be my advice. So continuing on my story, so I started doing these informational interviews, asking for suggestions from all existing product managers in my company. So we are a Fortune 500 company, 8,000 people, 40 or product managers building great products. So they all gave me certain things to do. So first one is, do you have an MBA? I said, no, get one. Okay, because that's how you will stand out. I said, all right. So I started taking these notes and then, okay, MBA. So what I did was, okay, get this checked on my resume. So I enrolled myself on a very expensive MBA. We can have a separate conversation on whether or not MBA is useful. But
Yeah.
I did that. Okay, I enrolled. I had a very tough conversation with my wife, and she was supportive at that stage, and I did that. So because I had already burnt a lot of money in my business, so again putting so much money in MBA was a difficult. But then since I had made up my mind, I did that. So the
Okay.
next thing I did was, okay, do a lot of stretch assignments. Since you are not a product manager yourself, do a lot of stretch assignments and contribute to your existing organization.
Okay.
Um, so I said, okay. And they said, most product managers always have their plate full. There is a lot of things that they have on their plate. And if you ask them for help, they will be only glad that you are asking. And they would always push something off their plate to you if you can help. So
Right.
I did the same to Micah. I told him, Micah, I know you must be very, very busy, but are there any dirty jobs that you do not want to do and that you want to, that I could help you with? And he was glad again. So he gave me a lot of things to do, and I started doing like, so there was this competitor that we were battling with. So I was working for this product called AutoCAD for Mac platform,
Okay.
and Autodesk was not very prominent in Mac platform. As a result, there were competitors who had
So market
taken a
share.
big market share. So Vector was that. So I started installing the competitor product and doing a very thorough deep dive competitor analysis and presented that. I would do a lot of blog reviews for him and all of that. So I did a lot of stuff for him. So that is second. The next thing that I did was, okay, go and buy the top 50 books on product management. So I the best thing about Singapore was we had this. Singapore has the world's best public libraries, and you get all the books in the world there for free. Okay, so that helped me. So I used to go to the library and get all the books that were there on the shelf. The top ones I would get from Amazon or any blog post that would recommend. Started reading extensively, so I became very strong theoretically. All right, even though I did not have practical experience, my theory experience was building gradually. So I did that. The next thing I did was I started blogging, even though I was not a product manager, but sharing knowledge and writing about it is the best way to learn. So fake it till you make it, as they say. So start immersing yourself, start writing what you learn and do that. However, I realized nobody would come to my blog. So that was demotivating. Why would anybody read from a guy who is not a product manager himself writing about so that was demotivating. So what I did at that time was, I'll come to this later. So I did pivot on my blog to make it a podcast, but that came later. The next thing that my research told me that you should attend product camps. Now, why product camps? Because product camp is a community-driven meetup place where product managers meet and share their best practices. I said, okay,
Right.
let me go and find out about product camp in Singapore. When I Googled about product camp in Singapore, I did not find any product camps. I said, okay, so this gives me an opportunity to start a product camp in Singapore. So the next thing that I did was went into LinkedIn and I started Googling about all the product managers, not Googling in LinkedIn, search,
So,
searching for product management professionals
right.
and just blindly asking them, hey, do you guys want to form a product camp in Singapore? Let's do that. And they said, who are you? You are not even a product manager. So nobody would take me seriously. But then, as luck would have it, there were 4 people who believed in me, and we formed a first group. So in the first product camp Singapore, around 40 people turned up,
Okay.
and we started doing that. So if you go to productcampsingapore.com, you can find the link. Today, the community is more than 2,000 people, large organization, and I still feel proud that I sowed that seed that day, and today it has grown on to become a thriving community of product managers. So that was again a big learning experience for me, because I got to learn a lot from talking to these people. And because I was the founder member, I used to get a lot of leverage,
Right.
getting speakers from the US who would do calls remotely, who would give talks remotely on Skype, and then we would have a session and all of that. So that gave me a lot of leverage. So I did all of this. I started talking to a lot of customers, because Singapore market for my product, being a small product, did not have a dedicated support and sales. So I became a point of contact. I started filling my calendar, blocking my calendar every week to talk to customers and learn from them, and passing on that insights to my team and my product manager, even though my boss never asked me about all of that. So I did a bunch of stuff, and now coming to the podcast. So since the blog did not work, I realized podcast as a medium is the flavor of the story. I'm talking about 3.5 years ago. Okay, at that time podcast was new, and I said, okay, let me do this. So I started interviewing people. Now many people ask me, but how did you start interviewing people? You were a nobody then. Yes, but because I was running ProductCamp Singapore, I came in contact with some senior professionals. So I'd start with them. It was difficult for them, for the first ones to get, but gradually I built up a good network, and today I do not find any difficulty. I mean, I usually pass on that link, and they would go and they would see all the kind of people that I have interviewed. And today it's much easier, but it was difficult then. So I did a bunch of stuff in the hope that all this will influence my management team to give me a product management role.
Right.
But it was not going to be that easy, because product management was a department that was in the states. Okay, so they did not want to let go that department and pass on, have people joining in from other R&D centers like Singapore. So they did not want to open the doors. It was very, very difficult. So there came a point where I was very, very frustrated, because I was not able to break in spite of showing all the work. And then I started applying outside. All right.
Okay.
But this is also a very important lesson, because it is very difficult to break into product management without relevant experience.
Right.
And I tried my best to, of course, Singapore is by itself a smaller market. Maybe things are different in, say, Valley or maybe in India. But I was not able to break in. So because my resume still does not say I have worked as product manager. So I said, after getting frustrated outside, I said, okay, I have to be resourceful again, try it out again within the company. And as luck would have it, there was one director of product management who actually saw a lot of effort that I've been putting in and my persistence. And he eventually, there was a team that needed a remote product owner for a distributed team in Shanghai, USA, and Singapore, and nobody would want to take that up. So he asked me through my boss if this is something that I would like to take up, and I just grabbed in all my four limbs. Okay. Because this is my lucky break, and I did not want to lose this opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened, and I eventually landed my first product role after a lot of toil and hard work and persistence.
Wow, this is, I mean, this is something which I think everybody should take note of. That whether it is small, I mean, some people just land up immediately, right? Especially
Yeah.
nowadays, now the startups are mushrooming everywhere. It's very easy to become a product manager in any of these startups, right?
Yes.
The quality of experience will obviously differ. I mean,
Right.
the
Yeah.
experience will not be at par with, let's say, Google or Autodesk for that matter. But
Right.
what you've been talking about, I think the core tenets, which I think everybody should note down, is you need to have a high level of perseverance.
Yeah.
You need to be resilient,
Yeah.
right? And most importantly, you need to not give up, right? Because I think that this applies to anything that you want to do seriously.
It applies to everything that you
Everything
are
that you
being.
do seriously, but especially in product management, I mean, you definitely want to, especially when you want to do something which is completely out. I mean, it doesn't show up in your resume, which is
Oh,
so, which requires so much of hands-on experience, right? People just don't. People will just not give you product management role just because you have.
it's highly competitive. It's highly
Yeah,
competitive. The best talent in the company are vying for it. That
exactly,
you are competing not just within your colleagues, but outsiders who have more experience who want to get into the company through the resumes. So
exactly,
it's
and I mean, and as a product manager, you would be essentially building the core business
yeah,
value, the one which is going to give you the money, the company, the money, right?
yeah.
And the most costliest resource of the company, the developers and designers, they are the ones you are essentially managing, or you are designing what they should be working on.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, hats off, man. The amount of effort you have put in, I think a
Yeah.
lot.
So I did not want to project my humility or anything of that sort. I take pride in this story, and
Yeah,
I share it, yeah, I share it with all gusto, and I share it with everybody who pings me on LinkedIn asking for help. I tell them, but thanks that this video is going to be recorded, so I could share this to anybody who asks how to land up a job in product. In fact, I feel that no matter which role you are in your company, you can get into product management, provided you show your efforts and you are dedicated.
absolutely, absolutely.
The other thing that I want to point out, that I was having a conversation with this person, forgetting his name. He again pinged me on LinkedIn. He is not from a product company. So
Okay.
my story is I still had that advantage that I was
Yeah.
in a product company. Okay, so I actually navigate within the organization, even though it was hard. But his question was, he's a services, he's a software integrator.
Okay.
How does he become a product manager? So that was again tough for me, because I do not have any services. I do not come from services industry, never worked in one. Um, so he still is fighting, and I do not know. So maybe we
I
need
think
to think
I
on
think one of
how.
the I think one of the things which I keep highlighting, or I mean, when I am asked such questions, I typically ask them, one, make sure that your theory is right, like you also worked on, right? Make sure the theory is right, so that you need to get yourself in the shoes of a product manager, how he thinks, how he evaluates. For example, throughout your life, throughout your career, you have shown those in what you've been calling resourcefulness. I typically call it product thinking. And in that case, in your case, you were thinking of yourself as a product. You're trying to think, okay, with this strengths and these resources, how to make the most of it and how to extract the max
Right,
value, right? And so you went, picked up,
right,
grabbed one opportunity, grabbed another opportunity, saw product camp. Most of the people would said, oh shit, there is no product camp, right? But you chose that as an
right,
opportunity,
yeah,
that yeah, this is an opportunity I can capitalize on, I can grab it. And because of that, you were able to get your podcast going. You got a lot of other things going, right?
right,
And
yeah,
I don't think you planned for it. You just went step by step. Same thing for
yeah,
this guy, right? So somebody who is not in a products company, or he belongs to, let's say, operations or something else,
yeah, yeah.
the
I
least,
think
the
you
two
should
things
not take those constraints as an excuse, is what I would say. Do not take any obstacle as an excuse. I mean, if you persist, if I asked him to start writing a blog. Okay,
exactly.
do not wait for the opportunity to land up, but prepare yourself that when the opportunity lands up, you are ready.
You are ready,
Okay.
like exactly. Yeah, you are the best person ready, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
you are.
the
So
two things I typically say is, I mean, get your theory right. So
right.
read up those blogs, read up the articles, but yeah, make sure that you choose the right mentors, like the virtual mentors, the virtual the authors and the blog writers. Make sure that you're choosing the right folks to read up. That's
Right.
one. And secondly, start getting involved in any product that you can get hold of.
Right.
Anyone, any product, right? In your case, you were able to get hold of, or at least you were able to ask for some extra work from your product manager, right? In this case, I'm sure it's a very connected world. So you can ask your friend or your friend of friend who is in a startup, and you can just ask them, hey, how can I help you? And
That's a
right,
great advice, because most startups would need some help, and you could work for free. I mean, nobody. I
exactly,
mean,
just
just for
yeah, just jump
so
in and just start experiencing what it takes, and that should slowly show up new opportunities for you to become a product manager.
got
Right.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. Uh, then other question which I wanted to understand or discuss with you was great. So you were able to navigate your way and finally over a certain time. MBA definitely will discuss separately
Yeah.
the pros and cons of an MBA. But you were able to finally navigate and go up the ladder, become a product manager. Uh, what were the difficulties that you faced when you finally eventually landed up and took the job and you're finally responsible for a product? How was your first 30-day experience in a nutshell?
Good question. In fact, we just had you and I were having a casual conversation just before this video interview. I was thrown into the deep end of the pool and was left to fend for myself. Actually, there was no mentorship. It was quite weird. Okay, so it was, things were not set up for success for me. Uh, I made a lot of mistakes. First of all, so there was this book by what's his name? Steve? No, Tony.
What is it?
It's on product ownership. I'm just forgetting that name.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, so that, of course, as I said, since I had done a lot of theory, those books came to my rescue. Because I would, so nobody was giving me mentorship, and so I started taking help of these books, immersing myself in them, and started applying as much as possible. But again, it's very difficult those first few months of a product manager in a new role without any mentorship.
Right.
I learned the hard way. I wish there were programs, or there were mentorship programs across. I think we should create something of that sort, some self-help group for such
Right.
people, because I say this with experience. You can actually screw it up big time. Since we talk about product managers as managing product, but it's actually a lot to do with people than products. Okay,
Right.
so your people negotiation skills, the way you come across to your people, the way you gel with your people, the way you make your first impressions with them. So there is something called forming, storming, norming, and performing. Right. So there are these phases,
Mhm.
um, which is whenever a new team comes up. So you are like an external organ that has just been planted into a body. Okay, so if you are not good with your people skills, your body will reject it, your team will reject it. Okay, so who are you to give them instructions on what to build or not, if you yourself are not do not bring a lot of expertise or knowledge, and a fresher comes with a lot of lack of confidence,
Right.
because he's doing it for the first time, and if he does not present that confidence, the team will know that he's not confident and he will not respect you. So
Correct.
it's a very thin line, and it's something that a new product manager needs help with. And I was going in a team where the user experience person was like 18 years in the company, and the years engineering person was like 5 years in the company. I was battling a lot. But if I have to reflect it now, I see a lot of areas where I could have improved. I mean, how do you add value to your team? You add
Right.
value because you are the one who will give them customer insights. Okay, because these people are not going out. So that is where you add value. Of course, you might not have as much product knowledge as the rest of the team,
Right.
technically, feature wise, but you can add value by going out and spending a lot of time with the customers, bringing their context, sharing their stories, and presenting it. That is where you add value to the team.
Precisely.
So I would strongly think that you find yourself as value creators. As product managers, we are value creators for that product. Okay. So
Lovely.
how do you think today? Don't look at it today. I mean, think in the next 2 years or in next 5 years. What are those value creators? What are those value creating engines that you can see by living in the context of your customers? Okay, when you live and breathe and talk to with your customers every day, you will see those gaps and pain points where they are struggling with, and you detach yourself from the product, because that is where you bring a lot of value and stay as long as possible with the customers, is
Right.
what I can think now. I mean,
Awesome. I
but
mean,
my first 30 days were embarrassing, horrible, and I would not say great experience. So, today,
absolutely.
yes. Today, yes. My second job as a product manager, especially here, I had I learned from my lessons. I actually crafted a 100-day plan for myself, making and building relationship, talking to a lot of. So it's not just the product team, but there are support, there is sales, and all of that. So in fact, I've written article on how you should plan your first 100 days as a product manager. That derives from my experience. Maybe I could share that. You could add that as
Please
a
do.
link or something.
Please do that. Yeah, because in my course also the reason, the entire concept of the final stage, uh, that when the students graduate, uh, I I strongly felt for it. I mean, I strongly felt for it. Doesn't make sense for graduate and prepare them, and then let them that, hey, this is jungle, just go in and you'll be all fine. You'll not be all fine, because the first
No,
30 days,
you're not.
60 days are very, very problematic, and you need mentors, right?
Yeah. Product management is not something that you can learn and apply. You have to learn it on the job.
Right.
All right. Uh, that doesn't, of course, but somebody has to make a start. So you have to do your theory, you have to do your
Correct.
education and all of that. But you grow as a product manager, you learn as a product manager only on the job, when you face those daily challenges. And unlike other professions, like say even project management or uh,
Business.
software development
Yeah.
or any other discipline, this discipline does not have a shape of its own. Okay,
Yeah.
because um, it each business, each product has its own complexity,
Right.
and because of this lack of discipline, it needs a special person to be able to navigate and make himself successful. And it needs a lot of self-discipline, a lot of learning, and that's a lot of curiosity, uh, and curiosity to learn a lot of things. Because as I said, I mean, I think I'm repeating for the third time, a product is not a product. Your business model is a product. Okay, you might have the best product in the world, but if it's not fulfilling a need, if it is not generating revenues, then it's
Right.
a failure. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something which when I use, I mean, the definition that I use for a product or a product manager is, um, uh, a product is a carrier of value.
Yes.
Is the carrier of value, nothing else. Now that product could be the entire solution that you have built. It's not just an app that you have built, or just not a feature that you have built. It's the entire solution that works around it. Now that solution might be just a simple click of a button that
Yes.
you need, or it could be the entire gamut of things that you have, that you're unraveling. There's a warehouse, there's this and that, and the entire thing comes together to build that value. But anyway,
Right.
that's a discussion of another time. So I think you are running on short on time. So I just have one more question to wrap up the lovely discussion today,
Right.
and that is, so you did your MBA, and
Right.
yeah, we will yes talk about MBA in another discussion. But you did your MBA, and you did your studies. I mean, you read through different books, different
Yes.
articles, and whatever came your way, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so what do you think? Product managers of tomorrow, uh, what kind of learning, or what kind of hand holding, or what kind of structured learning process can they go through, uh, or should they go through, to become a product manager?
Okay. So I still am a newbie. Okay. I would like to consider myself a newbie for next 5 years at least. But the best part that I did, the biggest gift I gave to myself is doing my podcast. All right.
Mhm.
And this gives me an opportunity to spend an hour or 1.5 hours with these mighty stalwarts of the profession.
Right.
I asked the same question to them. Okay, so so I attended a product management festival in Zurich last year.
Okay.
Not last year, this year. So I'm the ambassador there, so I get to attend the festival for free. Otherwise, it costs you somewhere around 1,500 euros. Okay,
Oh wow.
uh, I would never be able to afford that. So one of the keynote presentations was from the director of product in Facebook, and
Okay.
I have interviewed him on my podcast as well. So his keynote, the way he ended the keynote was, how can product management be foolproof? Okay, how can you keep your career foolproof for the future? Okay,
Right.
so how can you still succeed and have your save your job for the next say 20 years, even though the industry is going through accelerated change,
Right.
technologies come and go, have a very short shelf life.
Right.
So there is always a fight for survival for product managers, right?
Right.
So he listed out a few things, and one of the things is, if you customer centricity comes number one. Okay, because eventually, what is a product? Product is something that solves a problem in the world, uh, and whom whom do you solve this problem for the users, for your customers. So
Right.
if you immerse yourself in the world of customers, sometimes the needs do not change. Okay,
Right.
so what Facebook is today, the need hasn't changed in the last 100 years. Okay, people always wanted to collaborate. So earlier they used to get together in a place and
Right.
talk and share, and today they share and talk in a virtual medium, which is called Facebook. So
Right.
if keep focused on the needs of the people, then solving that becomes easy. And most product managers fail because they do not invest a lot of time, because it's a lot of hard work. Okay, spending time with customers
Right.
and understanding their life is a lot difficult. And most organizations are struggling to get passionate product managers who are actually willing to go out of their building. This is a term from Steve Blank: get
Yeah.
out of the building and live there. Because if you are a product manager and you're not leaving your cubicle and you
Right.
are safely ensconced in your cube or within the office, then you're not doing a great job. So if
Absolutely.
you want to future proof your career, go out, live with the customers, and develop empathy towards them, and bring that value to that. Because if you have a good team of technical people,
Right.
good engineers, they will build build great products. You have great UX professionals, they will build great design. But most products with great design and great technology have failed because they have not been able to solve the right problems. So
Exactly.
you as a product manager are responsible to pinpoint what is the pain in the industry, what is the pain for your customers,
Correct.
and handhold that feature or a product to achieve those outcomes. Because
Right.
this is something that I also learned, that while you are building a feature or a product, you are building it to get an outcome, right? So you have identified the goal and outcome. It's your responsibility to take that feature as the team is building towards that outcome. Because if it is not, then you are not hitting those, you are missing it. But it's okay to miss it, but you iterate on it and iterate on it gradually. You eventually you hit that goal. So I
Absolutely.
know I'm blabbering, but
No,
then
I think
yeah,
no, I think yeah, I think to put it concisely, so product manager of tomorrow, something that I also talk, but I use different terms. What I talk about is aim for the constants, because the variables will keep by nature are varying.
yes,
Aim for the constants. Look for what is that requirement of the customer that is not going to change, and make sure
right,
that you're fulfilling that. You may have to fulfill the variables also, because that is a fashion, that is a fad that is working right now, and you need to do it right now. But make sure that in that quest of fulfilling those variables, you miss out on the constants. If you miss
right,
out on the constants, then you're screwed.
right.
Put very
And
simple.
also, the other way to foolproof is to become a lifelong learner. Actually, because this is a job where you cannot say oh, I've learned and there's nothing more to learn. No,
No,
because
it's a life, exactly,
you
because
will,
the field itself is constantly changing. You need to be relevant, right?
yes,
I mean, today, like 10 years into it, a lot of people consider me an expert. I say I'm a student, dude. I'm just starting.
you have
Just
to have a
starting.
student mindset because the way technology is accelerating, the way business models, I mean, of course, I saw it on your website. Software is eating the world, right? So everything, so there is nothing called a non-software company. Everything is a software company, right?
Right.
So the thing is, the way technology is accelerating, okay, the way industry is revolutionizing, if you do not keep pace, and we will not be able to keep pace, we have to agree that. So what is the least that we can do? We try to keep pace, okay. So I mean, of course, I get overwhelmed with all this new tech. I'm not good at ML. I'm not good at AI, blockchain, and all these give me shivers because, but that should give you shivers because
Right.
that is how you wake up every day and learn and see how can you apply some of these technologies and still stay relevant. So
Absolutely.
that is what keeps me up at night is the thought that I might not stay relevant for tomorrow.
Right.
And as long as you are paranoid about that, and this comes from, I think, Intel, only the paranoid survive. So if you want to survive as a product manager for, say, the next 30 years, be paranoid and keep learning, and that's how you will make yourself foolproof.
Awesome, Ravi. I think your time is up, right?
Yeah, I got carried away.
Yeah. No, but I wish this conversation could continue, but I'm sure we
Yes,
will do it at a later time.
anytime. Yes, sure.
Yeah. So Ravi, if you want to quickly talk about your podcast so that the viewers can subscribe to it quickly in maybe 30 seconds.
Excellent. Yeah, so my podcast is titled yoursproductly.com. So it's a take from like yours faithfully or yours sincerely. It's called yoursproductly.com. And my biggest audience is in the US. My second biggest audience is from India. And I have been interviewing I have interviewed close to 85 product managers in the last 3.5 years. I
Lovely.
usually do 1 hour or 1.5 year 1.5 hour interviews mostly because I usually go deep into a topic, and that has been a big learning experience for me. So do check out. You could subscribe it on SoundCloud. If you go and search for yours properly on SoundCloud, you could do that, or else on the website as well. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ravi, for spending the time today. And I
thank
think
you. Dal.
your journey should inspire a lot of people. And
Thank
I hope that more and more people, put in the labor, put in the effort, and don't give up. And we see more fantastic product managers because with the, like you said, I think the next generation shift of technology is right about the corner right now. I mean, most of the web mobile has gone away, and the next generation is just coming up. I just hope, I'm just so excited for the future that is going to come with the new products that are coming in, and let's see what is in store for us, right?
So am I.
Yeah.
Thanks, Talvinder, for having
Thank
me.
you
And
so
you
much.
too are doing a good job in doing what you want to do and being so passionate about product management. And all the best for your whatever you want to do.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you so much.